the Qualis. Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me tonight on my very first YouTube video, full-length video that is, for this channel. We have a very interesting device in front of us. It's sort of a one-use server firewall. I mean, you could call this thing a lot of different things. I found this device actually at a Goodwill not too long ago for the low price of $12.49. You may or may not have seen this in a short recently, and the way I actually got this thing is pretty funny. Originally, I just needed a 1TB hard drive, and while there wasn't a 1TB hard drive at Goodwill, nor any cable TV boxes for me to pull that drive out of, I did find a 3TB hard drive just sitting on the shelf, which no, I did not risk buying. And then I also found two of these. Originally, I just had bought it for the hard drive in this thing, but then I realized this thing is actually pretty cool. So this is a Qualis security scanner appliance circa 2013-14. If we go ahead and flip it on the bottom, you can see right there, Qualis Inc., Qualis scanner appliance. And basically, this thing would have sat on a network and scanned the internal network for things like web applications, servers, endpoints, you name it, for exploits, stuff like SQL injection. This is for an enterprise use. Companies would basically buy this to make sure they don't get hacked. It is pretty interesting hardware though. You can see a couple of fans in there, which definitely are loud. We have this small little LCD at the front and controls to go with it, and even some indicator lights. I don't know what those mean. The back is pretty weird. Although we have a standard 1U power supply, you can probably notice right off the bat, there's no video output anywhere on the back of this thing, or anywhere on the outside of the case. We do get 4 USB 2.0 ports, 2 gigabit LAN ports. Probably can't see it that well, but there is PCIe slots. And if you look really closely in between the USB ports, there is actually a VGA connection inside of the chassis. Oh, and also this super cool and satisfying power button. Now, there's plenty of things that you could reuse this computer for. You could make it a Minecraft server, a Plex server, although there is not much room to put an encoding card in here. You could turn it into a VM server, but I think we have a better idea. Oh, and I even conveniently found this 100 Hertz monitor at Goodwill for $12.49. Got a 256 gigabyte SSD, and even a fire starter to go with it. We're gonna try to game on this thing, and hopefully do it for under $100. If we can play anything on this computer with a 100 Hertz monitor for under $100, that's pretty awesome. First, we're gonna open up this computer and plug it into a monitor. I need to open it, obviously, because the VGA port is inside of the case. I don't know how well you can see that either, but these are some pretty annoying bits. They're like Torx bits, but with a punch out in the middle. Well, I guess they didn't want you getting in this thing. It was a cloud-based subscription deal, so I'm not sure if they had like a technician that would service these things. But hey, check that out. It is really clean in here. I don't know why there's not a lot of dust. Maybe someone dusted it out before donating it, although that's highly unlikely. There's a better look at that VGA port there. It's literally just a normal VGA connection. We've got a couple of PCIe slots, an internal USB port, which is common for server motherboards, 6 SATA ports. 2 of them look like they're 6 gigabit. The rest look like they're probably 3 gigabit. I mean, this is pretty dated hardware. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 fans. They are not proprietary, so that's pretty cool. This is 16 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. We've got a Xeon CPU. We'll find out the model number of that in a second here. And finally, we have a 1TB 5400 RPM hard drive. You can see it's dated 26th of July 2014, so that should give you an idea of how old this machine is. Then we have a 250 watt 80 plus bronze power supply made by Sparkle Power. It does have an 8-pin EPS CPU connector. And if we take a quick peek at the screen at the front of the case, you can actually make out crystal fonts with a Z there. And right under it, you can see www.crystalfonts.com, which is actually still up. It looks like it uses this slightly proprietary looking floppy connection. I mean, the connection itself isn't proprietary, but weirdly they took out the 12-volt rail, so it's just 5 volts. And then right under that, looks like it's actually a regular USB header. I can see USB colors, and if we trace that wire, it goes straight into a front USB panel header. Hopefully we can get that screen to work in Windows. That would be pretty cool. All right, let's go ahead and connect up our peripherals here. We'll start with the keyboard and mouse. It's on a hub, by the way. Here's our VGA going directly into the case. Pretty weird. Power, and let's boot it up. Okay, this thing is pretty loud, but it does quiet down, don't worry. You can see the front screen here. Welcome to Qualis Guard. We do get a regular looking BIOS screen, and you can see our Xeon 1275 V2. And right now this thing currently has CentOS 7 on there. I honestly don't know how old that is, but I'll put it on screen. Honestly, the coolest part of this OS right now is this loading bar. It doesn't really do much after that. It just kind of goes to a blinking cursor. However, we will be imaging this drive because who knows, there could be something interesting on there. Once we boot up, we're just met with a blinking cursor. The fans finally start to rev down and nothing else really happens. We get an error code 30. You can see some kind of address there. And this LCD display does actually function. It asks for a password, but there was never one set, I guess. There's a couple of options in here. It says you can restore the default config, which I've tried doing. It does nothing. View the system info. Looks like we're running version 1.2.0.16. I'm assuming that means 2016. You can also reboot, shut down, and register with the Qualys platform. Let's go ahead and shut it down through this menu. Oh, 1 minute. I'm not waiting 1 minute. For our first order of business, I suggest we install the 256 gigabyte SSD from like 2014 probably. But hey, it's very era appropriate, right? Go ahead and unplug our hard drive, server style SATA plug. Why is it split into two like that? I don't know why they do that. If anything, this just makes it seem like more fragile. Correct me if I am wrong. Boom. It's got an SSD plus 1000 aura. Next, I'm thinking about our complete in-box RX 470. I scored this for a grand total of $20, and I actually picked up 2 of them. I may or may not have had to replace one of the fans on here, but we are not mentioning that. And before we install that, take a look at these PCIe slots. You can see they're all PCIe 8X slots. However, these 2 will take a 16X card because they're actually not blocked off. These 2, there's actually a filler piece of plastic preventing you from putting in any 16X card. So in theory, this should fit. You know what? Screw the RX 470, it's basically e-waste anyways. Bring in the 1660 Ti I scored for $50. Okay, this thing still doesn't want to play ball, and it's actually getting caught up on this DVI port and this part, so I'm just gonna kind of take off this plate. This is a master plan and absolutely nothing can go wrong. We've already had one screwdriver slip off camera, and this screw is really hard to get to. We got one more small screw on this display port. Careful not to drop that. All right, now we got our GPU with no brim. Let's see if it fits. Guys, it still doesn't fit. You guys are not gonna believe what I came up with. Look, now we have the ability to raise our motherboard. Except I don't like how it's touching the metal right here. Best Buy receipt, do your thing, twin. Perfect. Now we can still access our USB ports, and the best part, we can put in a freaking graphics card. Look at that. It's like it was designed for this. I guess we can do away with this VGA connection. Let's unbox the fire starter here. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the jankiest part of this entire build. Sorry SSD, we're gonna have to siphon off of some of your power here. Our 1660 needs it the most. We are arming it with HDMI. Bet you thought I was gonna forget the monitor, didn't you? Okay, we're gonna power this thing on together because I'm low-key scared of this thing already. There goes nothing. Okay, we've got some loudness. GPU fan is spinning. It has stopped, and the entire computer powered off. Okay, booting back up. It's on for a little bit longer this time. Holy crap, holy crap. Okay, I wasn't really expecting it to just work like that, although it is just regular PC hardware when you think about it. Let's put Windows on this thing. We're going with Windows 11 because Windows 11 good, Windows 10 old. Definitely not just because I don't feel like making a Windows 10 installer. So we'll plug this in. All right, let's go ahead and hit this thing with a Control-Alt-Delete and get an OS on here. But we'll take a quick peep at the BIOS first. It's got a pretty basic looking BIOS. It is UEFI though. You can see our 16 gigs of RAM there. Our Xeon E3 1275 quad-core hyper-threaded CPU, so basically like a 3rd gen i7. There is quite a few options in here. Interestingly, there is no BIOS password, and the date is right. The time's a little bit off, but you know, CMOS battery is like 11 years old. Let's boot our UEFI SanDisk and Windows 11. Next, give me the previous version, not this new nonsense. Windows 11 Home, no thank you, we're doing Pro, we're professionals around here. Got our SSD already wiped, so let's go ahead and install. I wish I had a decibel reader because this thing is not quiet. At least it goes pretty quick. The small LCD screen on the front has stopped responding while we're in Windows setup. I think it's so funny though, how half of the GPU is just like not plugged in. I'm gonna touch the pins. Time to go through the loops that is Windows 11 setup. Okay, we have successfully enabled 100 hertz on our monitor. It is working as expected. Our 1660 Super, it's not a Ti, I guess it's a Super. The power supply has started making a weird clicking sound that kind of sounds like a hard drive. That's absolutely terrifying. Okay, we're literally just checking for Windows updates, and this thing is getting concerningly loud. We might have to check thermals on this. I mean, that looks like a pretty nice temperature to me, so I don't know why it's overreacting. Dude, Windows Update sees the little LCD screen on the front. Still not working as of now, though. I'm not really expecting this computer to play much of anything, but this should give us a decent baseline. This is now the third time I've tried installing it, and it just gives me this vague error. Alrighty, the game has finished downloading, so we are now preparing for takeoff. Okay, we've been at the loading screen for probably 5 minutes now, and the fans are really going nuts. Quite a bit of airflow, though. CPU's not that warm. We have it at 70 degrees C, 2,500 milliseconds of frame latency, though. Oh wow, that is loading in extremely slowly. Let me adjust the settings because I'm pretty sure this is not optimal. The power supply is now making a very scary noise. We're running on basically medium settings, far render distance. Let's hop right into a game. I don't think we have much time left. We'll do 0 build. Wow, it is not a very fast experience so far, I'll tell you that. Also, I'm just gonna keep the cameras rolling because I don't know what to expect at this point. I don't think I've ever heard a power supply make these type of noises. I don't think the mic's picking it up, but I sure am. Okay, everything just kind of froze up. I don't know what's going on. We still have a cursor though. Holy crap, it didn't crash. Guys, take a listen to these fans. They don't sound too happy. All right, we're in the game. I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. That's definitely not the battle bus. It's running pretty good, don't get me wrong, but I'm seeing some visual issues going on. I don't know what we're looking at. It looks like power lines going across the map. That's definitely not part of the game because they just disappeared. All right, if we could get the textures to start popping in, I think we'd be good. We're dropping right now, regular DirectX 12 mode, no lag really. First game on, by the way, it just looks terrible. I don't think this checkered pattern that I'm looking at is normal at all. I don't play Fortnite that often, but I play it enough to know that something's going on. But you know what? It's running, and we're using the 250 watt power supply. Let me bring up the brightness here so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, I clicked apply on the brightness settings. It's taking about 30 seconds just to apply that. Fans are going absolutely nuts. Look at that! This looks great! At this point, it looks pretty normal. Looks like most of our textures are loaded in. Our pickaxe wasn't there 2 seconds ago, and it just popped in. Okay, we can loot, throw down some chug splashes, and I'm pretty sure I'm getting shot by someone right in front of me, and I can't see anybody. Oh wait, I'm just really bad and blind. I hit him. Okay, dude, we're straight gaming. I mean, we're gaming right now on a $12.49 server. We've got a $50 video card, a $10 SSD, and a $12 monitor, and we're having a decent high FPS experience. I mean, it's over 60. Okay, let's try lowering the settings even more and see if I can get a better experience. We're gonna go shadows low, textures low, pretty much everything low, but we will increase the view distance to epic. Well, it applied the settings way quicker that time, and now we're seeing around mid-90s. Wow, our second game here already looks much more like what I'm expecting. I don't know why, but it almost seems like we're getting a worse frame rate. At least our textures are all loaded in now, so it looks normal. And I mean, we're still getting a decent frame rate. I would be totally fine with this. And the fact that it's working in this janky of a case doesn't really mean that we can't just put this stuff in another case. It's a regular ATX style motherboard, so theoretically, we have a $100 gaming PC that will play most games. And I mean, this is better than I was expecting. Let's not forget though that this entire setup was under $100. And if you want to count the keyboard and mouse, you can add another like $5. I'm gonna say this was a massive win. Let's go get this guy over here. Wow, I am terrible. It's the cardboard box mouse pad. It's not me. I'm back here. I gotta kill one person on the server PC. Y'all don't know how hard it is to aim. We just lost to a bot. So that about wraps it up for this video on our sub $100 server gaming PC featuring thrift store components. I hope you guys liked this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.